You want? I fixed my knee with peptides.
My sister-in-law does that.
Is she doing it?
She does peptides.
Is she shooting it in? She's shooting it in, or?
So.
Oh, yeah, the oral doesn't work that well. I took it now. It doesn't work that well. What you have to do is shoot it in your system. Yeah, needles.
These are fresh off the
really
printer
Tell
fields.
She probably knows.
Tell her to go online, just look up,
Yeah,
peptides.
these are good to
Amino
go.
acids, 157 and PD 500. Those are what they call the Wolverine pack.
Good morning.
Good
morning, how are you?
Good morning.
For your
I'm
knee,
good.
something like gastro system, it's amazing. Friends is.
This might be a little out of order. I didn't
Yeah,
collate
they
those.
didn't give you
No kill.
Yeah.
He's been on, he's put 13 other people on. He's got one house who's got cancer from it. So, oh yeah, it's amazing stuff. It really is. Yeah, it is. I mean, these are things that are non-pharmaceutical.
Right.
And the
You're going to see a sign, give a little lunch and learn on that.
Happy to do it. They did.
this is.
We're able to get it on the internet still.
It's
And yeah, they use peptides as well. He's
Do
gonna
the one.
He's gonna change it.
One
So,
of them, we're missing the 101.
so it does work.
We have the additions and deletions report.
It's real. I don't know how else to say this. Really
That's
works.
what I feel about my paper oil.
Oh, essential oil
All
work for sure.
natural.
Absolutely, all natural.
I mean, I'm very helpful.
And actually, if you get some nerve pain, there's something you can buy on Amazon. It's a natural product, Formula 303. It really works. For nerve pain, it does help a lot. And it's all natural. My friend's a chiropractor. And he's been doing this for 20, 30 years. He says it's my whole family is. And we all.
My husband's diabetic and he is just now started having.
Some neurotic pain. Have him try that, see if that helps.
Well,
You use red light therapy at all? At our age, we should start using all of them.
no, but I thought about it.
You should definitely use it, it works. I had a growth on my back, the skin doctor said it's non-malignant or anything, so you can leave it, it was pain in the neck, you hit it, like nailed it, would hurt, stuck it out. So he said, I can take it out, but it's gonna be a long time to recover.
Good morning,
I
sir.
was wondering on my back. I had
Hello,
my
Mr. Right
down
there. Josh claims the drought is over.
And drought,
Well, yes, they could got in it in 2 days.
Well, really, in the 10 seconds. That's exactly what I know.
We're still short 20 inches.
It's amazing, I use it for inflammation.
We'll say this though, for
It's the mask.
the retention
My
pond
wife-
in my neighborhood,
She's using it for her eyes, so
always
we
been
went for
bone
a
dry.
drive.
Yeah, they just
And
about
you
got replaced.
Unfortunately, she did the one where you
One
can
of the-
press the lens into your, you never have to wear glasses again.
Yeah.
It isn't supposed to be there.
Yeah, don't do it, especially don't do it here with Stackhouse, don't. So what happened is her tear ducts stopped generating tears. And it got worse and worse, she had trouble seeing, scratching, so they make a light, just for your eyes now.
Feels it's
So she's using it on her eyes.
Yeah.
For her face.
Yeah, I seen it going through this morning.
Right.
Got
Exactly.
helping Josh look it over.
Red light therapy works.
That'll be the doctor.
Now, I have a site that I buy my pads from because I can buy them there when I use. And they invented theirs.
Yeah.
And the husband actually engineered it, designed it, and it went over last week. And they designed it for animals. And I like it because it was the best pad on the market.
Yeah, we're gonna do
Deep
a
into
walk
the
through
skin.
it. So the approval is in
And
place.
you should see the story. She'll tell
Just
you
that little few minute,
Heard
where's
that
the dumpster gonna go?
you doing it, it's made.
I'm telling you, it works.
It's
It's amazing. I use it every day. Linda just used it last night because she had cramps in her legs. So I was severe. So I put some peptide cream on and then I gave her the red lights and it went away.
She's gonna want a purple.
It really is. It's a kind of
Okay.
Yeah.
options everywhere. I mean, I buy from a company, and I think it's Tennessee Cotton that she has a horse farm and that, like I said, her husband developed it. I'll show you again. I think it's the best pad on the market. It's not cheap. The biggest one was about this big, is $600-700. They're smaller ones. Amazon sells a few of them. Let's see if I can do it.
Again, we get this thing inked.
Yeah, sure. So this is the color quickly also. So like that, I have.
So John, we do have all the board members with us.
Okay, very good. Let's see here. Let's give maybe 1 minute. Well, I guess it's 8. It's the top of the hour, so
What you have concerns about with.
let me
Stories about.
pull up the agenda.
We still got some,
Um,
we still got some folks coming in, so.
Okay.
Yeah. It really helps. I mean, I'm 75. so-
Yeah. Okay, let's see. We got.
looks like we are 1 minute past the top of the hour. Let's go ahead and, unless there are people still coming in that I can't see, let's go ahead and try to get started.
Sure.
Mr. Secretary, will you advise us of notice and the establishment of a quorum?
Me? Or you want Nick to do it?
Oh, I'm sorry,
Well,
Nick.
I can tell you that you do have a quorum of the board that's here, and the notice was posted on property and sent out to the owners in accordance with the documents in Florida law. So we did attach the any contracts that were going to be approved today to the agenda.
Okay.
And you were posted. You're good.
Good. All right, we'll call the meeting to order. The first order of business is the approval of the minutes from the March 17th meeting. Have board members had the opportunity to review those?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, could I ask for a motion then to approve the minutes from the March 17th, 2026 board meeting?
So moved.
It moved and seconded. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
So Alan moved and David seconded. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think the most important discussion that we have for for today is the first one, and that is the status of the roof replacement and the attendant assessment. I apologize to everyone for not having been able to accomplish this sooner, but I sent out an email to owners yesterday, sort of setting out the where I think we are currently. And I'll summarize that by saying that we part of the instructions that the board approved in pursuing the roof contract was to ensure that there is a payment and performance bond or performance and payment bond in place for the contractor. That's I believe, Alan, correct me, a 3% of the contract price addition. And given the importance of this project to Windsong, I think everyone agreed that it was important that we have the performance and payment bond, particularly in light of the scenario that played out before. I think most of the current board members were even participating at Windsong with the previous roofer who installed the current roof or partially installed the current roof and then went broke. And I think we have suffered as a result of that, and that's part of the reason that we all found it appropriate to advance the roof to this year. So there was some delay in obtaining approval from the bonding company that the agent is Hub International, which is a large agency. Some of you may work with them. I know I do on my personal lines insurance here in Nashville and for Windsong. And within the last 10 days to 2 weeks, we have gotten confirmation from the from the bonding company that they will issue the performance and payment bond, and we're prepared to go forward, albeit 45 days later than we expected, perhaps 60. But I wanted, first of all, to advise all of our owners of this situation and invite any comments. I think the board has approved at the previous meeting the contract as drafted. We have the final ready to execute, and upon receipt of this executed performance and payment bond from the surety company, I think CG Roofing is prepared to mobilize and start work. So I wanted to do that and advise everyone of where we are. And I'll open the floor for any questions that anyone has. And then we can discuss the timing of the two assessment payments after we talk about the roof contract and proceedings. So are there any questions about the roof contract, the performance bond, any of those topics?
Yes, I have one. This is Martin Cosma from 1405. So just a quick question. Have you all received payment from all of the homeowners on the first assessment?
I'm not aware of the current status. Nick, are you?
I don't have the list in front of me. I know there was a few that have not paid.
Yeah, I know that I was aware of a couple that have not. I don't know the exact number.
It's very
based on that comment from Nick, I think the majority have.
Yep.
Any other questions about the roof contract, the current status, the performance and payment bond?
How long is the current rendition of the contract supposed to last? What is the time framework now for the roofing from commencement of work to completion?
Alan, can you help with that?
Well, it takes about 3.5 months to 4 months to complete without any problems. We don't know what we're gonna find. Could take 8 months, I don't know. We find a lot of damage. Engineers have to come in. CSI will have to analyze. We'll have to get somebody in to fix it. So those could delay us, we don't know. But if it goes straight through without any major problems, should be no more than 4 months.
Are there any current leaks that we know of, either around the chimneys or in related to the roofs at this point?
We'll know today. Yeah.
Well,
We have leaks constantly. We just had one in 1402 again, and we probably will have more when this is over.
Yeah, I know Corey's unit 1402 right now, we have some temporary plastic covering over that chimney to remedy a leak temporarily pending the roof replacement.
But the one thing we'd like to know from owners is how many of the owners who have chimneys will want them completely capped, or do they still want to have it so that the chimney can be used? We're gonna need to know that. If we don't hear from people, we're just gonna leave it as is and cap the chimneys as they are currently.
Yeah, so I'm not sure whenever you want to hear that, but from a 1405 standpoint, I would like it capped.
Okay.
and 1414 would like it capped also.
Well, 1414 1414's already been capped.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
But I don't know, but I think they left it so you have the fireplace in use.
Well, then why wouldn't you cap every chimney? I don't understand.
Well, it was capped let's see, I think we did that in November of 24. So we capped mine, we capped yours. I think we capped one other, but we were just getting things done. I wasn't involved. I just told them to cap mine. I didn't know they were gonna cap yours.
So capping does not prevent it from being used?
Well, it depends how you cap it. You have flues coming out the top of the chimney. If you don't want the flues, we will completely cap the top of the chimney. If you want your flues still to be there, some have two flues, then we will put a cap on, but leave the flues, and a new cap will be put on the flue itself, a stainless steel 316 cap will be put in there, so it will never rust. That way it's completely sealed.
Okay, so capping doesn't mean the chimney is non-functional. It's just a much better way of securing it for future water intrusion and rust.
Correct. We currently don't have any way of keeping water out the top of the chimneys. The only thing protecting the chimney from water infiltration, believe it or not, is the paint. And that cap is flat on most of the chimneys. I don't understand how that got done that way, to be honest. It's ridiculous. No wonder we've had so many leaks on chimneys. Oh man, It's crazy.
Well, we've owned our unit since 1990, and we've never once used the fireplace, and would never even attempt to use the fireplace. It's purely a architectural aesthetic from the exterior.
Right. Well, if anybody uses the chimney too, they're gonna have to go and make sure they have a lining in the chimney. These chimneys are stick built. That's all they are. So you gotta make sure your lining's in good shape. You gotta make sure that it works properly. So you have to be inspected if you're gonna use it.
Okay. Other questions about the roof contract, and we'll move on to the discussion of the assessment payments.
I have one further
Okay,
question.
sure.
I assume the roof will be done in stages, perhaps starting at 1401 or in that area, and then working down towards 1420. Is that correct?
My understanding is they're going to do the mid-rise first, and then I have known, but I don't know off the top of my head what the staging will be following that.
So we're gonna do the mid-rise first so we can get rid of one of the lifts immediately. So once that's done, we're gonna get two lifts. One will go after the mid-rise. And then we'll start probably at 1420, come around all the way back to 1407, and then finish up on building 1. So basically, building 4 first, building 3 second, building 2 next, and then building 1. The only caveat to that is once the roof is ready to be done on 1409 and 1410, we will jump immediately over and get that done immediately.
Well, my only suggestion, and I'm sure you all have considered this, and it's in everybody's best interest, to have as few roofs open under repair at a time. I wouldn't want to see them open up roofs and say, well, we'll get to that, and then we have a major storm, and you're left with you exposed. So
Right.
I would just argue, I would suggest that if it's possible, if the board could give periodic updates, particularly for those owners who may not be living in their unit and seeing it every day and won't know the current status of it, that we be kept informed as often as reasonably possible.
Sure, that's a more than reasonable request, and we'll be happy to try to do that as often as possible.
Thank you.
This is Walt. I've got a question. Do you have an approximate idea of the start date for the mid-rise?
Walt, we got to do first we got to get the contract signed into Caleb. Once that's done, then he will start the process. We're looking at somewhere plus or minus 4 weeks.
Okay, thanks.
And Al, one other question, if I may. do you feel there'll be any impact on the elevator access in the mid-rise during the process?
Absolutely none.
Okay, thank you.
And I'd like to have 1408 capped as well, the chimney, just for the record.
How do you want to do this?
Do me a favor, send emails in to Matt.
Yeah.
Let Matt know who wants what on the chimneys so that we can do it. Like I said,
Right,
if we
and
got
we'll,
here,
Al, for those owners that are not here today, I'll ask Nick and Jane if they can work with us to get a message sent to all owners about the chimney caps, so that everyone will know about the issue and have an opportunity to respond.
Sure. Yeah, Jeff, if you could just put some language together for us, shoot it over, and we'll get that out to everybody.
Okay.
now understand, I just want to make sure everybody here that understands, when you say cap it, that means you will not be able to use your fireplace ever again unless you have it uncapped. Spend the money to do that. That'll be at owner's expense. I just want to make sure everybody understands that. If you
Right.
want not capped, then I'm going to leave whatever you have for a flue coming out. We're going to change that cap on top to a 316 stainless so it won't rust, and then put a cap on the rest of it. So it would be a cap with a hole in it so that the flue cap can go on top of that.
And I think it's required as well too. If you're going to decommission your fireplace, you have to remove the firebox that's in the inside.
Okay, I don't know that regulation in Florida. You do have to remove it.
You do think
It's a fire hazard. All right,
so it's not accidentally used.
So
with
it's
the
not
cap.
accidentally.
So it has to be decommissioned.
Okay, so does everybody hear that? We'll put it out. You have to remove your box, your firebox. Now, what happens is, I have a question. So what happens is, when a guy has somebody like Walt, who has a ventless gas, does that have to be closed up? Okay. How does that work?
Assume if it's ventless, it wouldn't have to be, but I would work with that.
We need to look into that, Dan. Because I know Waltz is that way, and I assume some others are gonna do it that way. So they're gonna put in ventless gas fireplaces, but we cap the flue. Waltz is already capped. They capped 1410 and 14.9 a long time ago. I don't know when, it was before my time.
We've got the chimney inventory. Would it make sense to send that along with this letter?
Sure.
Is that
Sure, they can take a look at their,
Useful
they
information.
can take a look, yeah,
all right?
absolutely. But yeah, that's one thing we're gonna have to find out, yeah.
And that's available on the website too. Chimney inventories on the
Is it?
website.
Chimney inventory is on the website too, if you people wanna look at pictures, you can see your own chimney.
Yeah.
Al, a question just for clarification. What I heard you say is that my chimney 1409 is already capped.
Correct, 1410, for whatever reasons, the same, because you have the same chimney height. You
Right.
guys are the same mirror units. They capped both yours and 1410. I don't know when it was done, but it's capped.
It was done before our time as well.
Okay,
Okay, thanks.
yeah, well, just so you know, Dan's gonna look it up and see what the story is on ventless gas appliance.
Okay.
Let's move to a quick discussion of the assessment. As I understand it now, I think Josh is present. Am I right?
He is.
Okay,
Here.
good. My understanding is we would have to change officially the assessment notification, due dates and all that. We would have to go back, cancel this, renotice, and go through the process all over again. Josh gave a very practical solution, which was to leave the assessment notification as is, but just to advise people that we won't consider them as due or charge interest or consider any of the second payments past due, my suggestion is until July 1st. I really haven't had much time to discuss that with others, but I think that gives us plenty of cash flow availability if the second payments don't come in until July 1st. I don't know that that even requires a board action, but I felt like it was appropriate to disclose and discuss that and have any input that anyone might like to have on that topic. It probably does merit a resolution if we're going to say we're not going to take any action until after July 1.
We
But
should,
I'll open the floor to discussion about that.
John, we should be fine July 1. It's not a problem. I cash flow will be fine. And some of us have already paid the total amount. So there
Right.
should be plenty of money. I don't see a problem. July 1st, just make it July 1st and they pay July 1st and we don't worry about delayed payments. That's all. It's up to us anyway.
Okay. That's fine with me. I just wanted to, bring that up and put it out there for anyone to comment on or ask questions about. I suppose that action probably does require a resolution and a board vote. So unless there are questions or comments about that, I would entertain a motion.
John, I have a question here.
Yes.
Don, I'm just surprised. I mean, think about the type of precedent you're setting. You have 33 units, you have 31 owners. So a few people say there's an issue with this. The board passes a resolution and passes a declaration of how to behave. A few people find that that's difficult. Rather than come to the party when the original motion was passed, you set a precedent that someone who doesn't like what goes on, now you have the board say, well, we're going to change the rules. And there's a group of us, we've already paid $104,000 in the first installment. I know others have too. What kind of precedent do you want to set where a few people sort of have opinion and they basically urge the board to sort of say, well, let's redo what we did. What we really did wasn't very important or very clear. So we're going to rechange the rules just for the few who sort of have a voice. And the time to have the voice was when the original motion came up before the board.
Yeah, Don, I'm sensitive to that, and I appreciate your position very much. I personally, and I think several of us feel that this is a different set of circumstances than simply a change in the assessment, because the timing for the assessment was set when we anticipated that the roof repair would be well underway by now, and we would have the need for the cash to pay for it earlier. And when we received several concerns from homeowners about the timing of the assessment and the timing of the payment, and the fact that the project had been delayed, that was the reason to make an exception here. It's not our intention to set a precedent to go back and change the way we do things absent change circumstances.
I'm happy with whatever you all decide. I just wanted to bring that up when a board makes a vote. Either it's a vote or it's not a vote. That's all.
I understand it's a valid point, and again, the reason for this was because of a change in circumstances. Mike Kelly, I see your hand raised.
Mr. President, I'm just trying to make sure, and I sympathize with Don Koch's observation too. We passed a resolution, we made that decision, but circumstances have changed. So I wanted to be clear, though, that we're only talking about deferral to July 1 of the phase 2 assessment, not the original due date, May 1 of phase 1 of the assessment.
Right. Okay. Thanks for pointing that out. I may not have been clear about that, so I appreciate you doing
You
that, Mike.
probably were. I just want to make sure I understood that we're simply talking about a deferral of the second assessment payment to July 1.
Does somebody want to make a motion to that effect?
So
Board
moved.
member? So Mike, you made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, is there any other
All in
discussion?
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
So,
Okay, thank you.
so John, my only other point is that I would sort of make sure the board has very clear and tight language that no party can come back and if they haven't made a payment by September or November, October, that they can't come back and say, well, the motion of the board was to delay payment, to make extremely explicit what Mike said, that the first payment was due May 1st and the next payment is due July 1st or whatever. So there's no possibility that someone can say, look, the board changed the rules on us and we don't really have to pay. Maybe because you want to be pretty tight on the language of this. You don't have too many people that have the grounds for an excuse about sort of board's misdirection or lack of clarity.
We'll be very careful on the wording of the resolution that shows up in the minutes.
Fine, good. The reason I say that, in banking, if a bank basically decides to sort of say, well, you don't have to pay us today, we're going to forbear the requirement of the date. Often that becomes a litigious issue. They say, well, the bank has not required us to make payment, and so we don't think we have to pay because you've given us an excuse not to pay.
Thank you. I think we can move on now to the next topic, which is the approval of the Fields contract for the reconstruction of the units 1409 and 1410 that were damaged by the fire last Labor Day weekend. Just a brief update for owners that may not be aware of the process that we've gone through to get here. We've been in communication with the insurance company. It's an insurance company under the umbrella of AmTrust. We have, after some significant difficulty in identifying a person in authority to make decisions about this claim at the beginning and for more than a couple of months after that, we have some clear lines of communication. There's a kind of an ad hoc committee of myself, Mike Kelly, Matt, and our counsel Josh Martin, who have been meeting pretty as much as possible every Wednesday morning for a conference call to discuss the progress. CSI, we entered into an agreement with CSI to manage the construction of the project. We got drawings from Rice Architects to design the appropriate rebuild. All along the way, we've gotten approval from the insurance company of those expenses. CSI put together a bid package and sent it out to interested contractors. I'm probably going to give you the wrong information. I believe there was a bid meeting. I believe we had 5 or 6 contractors who attended. I believe we had 5 bids. We analyzed those bids for a number of reasons. Fields construction, the committee felt was the best selection based on experience, based on price. They were not the lowest, but I believe they were the second lowest price. We notified the insurance adjuster of our intention to enter into a contract with Fields to do this work, and they've given their approval. And for those reasons and numerous others, we felt that like Fields was the best selection to do this work. We've Josh Martin has worked with Fields to come to terms on a final contract. That contract was attached to the notice of this meeting that went out to owners. And I'll open the floor to discussion, and then also would entertain a motion by a board member to approve that contract and proceed. Any questions?
What's it gonna take?
Is there a motion?
It'll come out there. It'll come out.
I make a motion to approve Fields.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so David made the motion. Mike seconded.
David made the motion. I think Mike Kelly did the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Let's wait for Alan to come back.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't realize Alan had stepped out.
Meantime, John, just a question.
Sure.
I know it's in the future, but from what you know now with Fields and their schedule and Matt permitting process, just a ballpark idea when we think Fields would be on site ready to start.
Oh, sorry.
So
Matt, Matt, I think I see Dan there. Do you guys have an answer to that question?
Fields contract.
I don't have a definite answer. Obviously, we got to get the contract executed, which hopefully that happens here today. We have been working in the backdrop, as you had said, John, to get the permits, get everything we needed from Rice Architect for permitting. That is in motion. What I will do is after this meeting and pending approval of all this is reach out to Fields, should start drilling down on the timing for this, establish a pre-construction meeting, which will really give us a lot of this information that you guys are seeking.
Okay.
And just for the record, Alan did say aye.
Okay, good. All right.
So it was unanimous.
Any other questions by any owners about the Fields contract or the reconstruction and 1409 and 1410?
Dan, this is Walt again. A question for you. The pre-construction meeting, is that something that myself as an owner could sit in on or not?
Absolutely.
Okay. Because I obviously once I had this conversation with Matt yesterday, once Fields gets underway, then we have the idea of starting to look at what has to be done on our part and start getting that ball, new cabinets or whatever that has a significant amount of lead time, just to get an idea, where they are and where we need to be to get the rest of it put back together is also.
Oh, absolutely. Once I get the pre-con date established, I'll get everybody's contact information. All concerned parties send that out. And like I said, once they have permits, contract in hand, then they can start executing a schedule, which will give you a good idea of what they're looking at for completion to turn it over to you for the inside work.
Okay, perfect. Well, Matt's got all my contact information, so thank you.
Hi, this is Sarah. I just wanted to say thank you so much for all of your work on this. I know it's been a heavy lift, and Tim and I are really grateful and happy about the decision to move forward with Fields. So just thank you again, and please keep us posted on anything we can do to keep things moving.
We will, Sarah, and I'd like to also thank you and Tim and the Wermans for your patience. This has been a long process, and I know it's been frustrating. So I hope we're moving down the tracks now to some much more rapid progress to getting you guys back in your units. But thank you for those comments.
I have one question, if I may. What is the current status of the electrical review to attempt to prevent something like this occurring again?
That's the next topic, Nat. Thank you.
Well, good.
And unless there's anything else on the
Mike,
construction, I think, Mike, do you have your hand raised?
Mr. President, I thought it might be useful to emphasize the integration of the Fields restoration contract on 1409 and 10 with the roofing contract, just so everybody understands how that interplay is likely to come about. So you or Alan probably can articulate that better than most.
Yeah, it's just that when the roof is sheathed, that's when we get it sheathed, then we'll move over and finish the roof. It's that easy. I mean, as soon as it's ready, we'll move right over and finish it. That way it's not going to leak. There won't be any water problems. It'll be finished immediately.
And the financial piece of that, we have a bid. It's not been taken out of the whole project, but Caleb has given us figures for the cost to replace the tiles and the underlayment, everything above the plywood sheathing at 1409 and 1410. So hopefully we'll be able to receive some payment from the insurance company that will reduce the ultimate amount by some figure. We're not sure yet of what that figure will be, and give some additional flexibility for contingencies that might arise elsewhere in the roofing contract.
John, did we submit the cost that Caleb gave us for that roof? And I assume it also included the stucco work for that as well.
I believe so. I can't say that for sure, Alan, but we'll make sure that happens.
Because back to Mike Kelly's note, right now we have a different company, Supreme Stucco, doing all the stucco work for the roof. So they'll do the roof stucco work also on 10 and not Fields, even though Fields does stucco work. Fields will do all the other stucco work that's pertaining to the frame of the building or wherever they touch. But as far as the roof's concerned, we have a guy that's going to be doing it, Supreme, just so everybody knows. It's in the contract.
All right, question. Yes, sir. Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, first I want to thank you all for the great sacrifice and dedication you all have, especially Alan, for getting this done and sort of overseeing how this all works. I would urge somewhere in either the minutes or the information just to have a very rough schedule, and even if you're wrong, have an update so the board feels that it's likely to have the roof completed by the fourth quarter of 2027, or some kind of reference so people have a knowledge of when they expect this to be done, and then you can have an update, say, no, it's really going to be third quarter of 2027, but you have a range so that you can give us a rolling information as to how the process is going, and if there's any hiccups, you can say, well, we've had to extend it because we found much more damage, which is a very likely thing. And so all the owners are informed as to how the process is going. Just a suggestion. You can decide if you all want to do it.
No, it's an absolute good suggestion. We will do that. We were planning on doing that. We will send out hopefully monthly updates as to where we're at.
Great.
If we find any major damage, we'll probably alert the owners just so they know, because that could be an additional cost. So all owners need to know that. So we'll keep everybody informed. I'm not going to blacklist this thing where nobody knows.
Great.
Transparent. So we'll keep everybody.
Website. Use the website.
You can also use the website, as Matt pointed out. We can post things on the website so you can go there at your leisure and just look it up. Okay.
I'd be happy to include on the, there's a calendar feature on the website. If there's milestones in the project, we can sort of insert that.
All right,
So
well,
people can track.
Matt's got a great way of doing this, so we'll do it that way. That way everybody can go check it at their leisure. And that way we don't have to worry about getting AIM involved and sending out correspondence. We just put it right on the website.
I see Corey has a question.
Sorry. Are we being covered by our insurance company for 1409 and 1410 completely, or are they just covering part of it?
As far as I know, Corey, they have not indicated any basis of not covering completely. Let me give a qualification on that, and that is with respect to the roof replacement, the tile replacement on 1409 and 1410. That roofing is the only piece of the policy that provides for, in light of the age of the roof, that the replacement is the actual cash value of the roof. So we may get less than what it actually costs us to replace the roof. That's the bad news. The good news is that that amount is already included in the roofing contract with Caleb and is part of the assessment. So we do not anticipate any additional assessment or cost to the association for the reconstruction of 1409 and 1410.
Great. Thank you.
Absent additional questions, let's move to the electrical inspection. We've talked about this at a couple of our meetings. We have the information from the inspection. As we have proceeded towards sending out the notification to all of the homeowners, Alan raised a very good point about some information that he learned about the specifications for the breaker that would be in your breaker box that would address the outside outlets. And we're in the process of discussing that with the electrical contractor. I understand the explanation of the different specification, but I'm not sure I'm qualified to give it. Maybe Alan, would you mind?
Well, yeah, I contacted my one of my electricians and I had a long talk. Hold on, it's Caleb. I'm in the meeting. Let me put it back. That's right. What they told me is that the best way to solve a problem when there's an electrical outlet that has a spark that starts a fire is you put in what they call an arc fault switch in your breaker. And what happens is it immediately senses a electrical charge, which gives a spark. As soon as it hits that spark, it shuts down the circuit immediately so that no fire can happen. The problem is they're a pain in the ass sometimes. They'll trip. Like if you have an old vacuum cleaner, which has the old motors in them that are not brushless, and when they start, they always start with a spark in them. Well, it actually senses that spark in your vacuum and shuts down the circuit. That's how sensitive it is. That's how good it is. So if you really want to stop a fire outside, you need to put one of these in. Bottom line, that solves the problem. If we had 1 in 10, it would never have happened. I'm just saying, it's probably the best way to go. Now, you want to put one outside, which is a ground fault, which is GFI, those fail constantly. So you're going to have to replace them on an ongoing basis because that's not your answer. That's part of your answer maybe, but it's not your full answer. I think even Dan would probably agree with me at this point.
Yeah, they're problematic out there on the ocean like that.
Sure. So even though you replace it, you still are going to have problems with it, more so than you would with an arc fault circuit breaker. So I
think the solution here is to make sure that the electrician plans to use that arc fault breaker in the reconfiguration, and if it costs an extra $20 or $50 or whatever to use that breaker, that he adds that to his cost. But I think we want to. The idea is to go ahead and get that done, get those things out. I know the electrician's already reached out to me, and I'm having the entire breaker box panel in our unit replaced, and I would intend to contact him and tell him to put the arc fault at least on the
outside
breakers that address the outdoor.
And John, it's a good point you pointed out about the panel itself. I mean, everybody has to realize these panels date back, most of them, to 1980. And to give you an example, Dave Pallister's unit, his panel caught on fire. So I just want to alert everybody, they're rotting away. Even though they're inside, your salt air is still deteriorating all your wiring and your piping. So it gets to the panel. They need to make sure if they're not in great shape, you should replace them.
And the specification, the inspection reports that will be coming to you that we receive from the electrician, he will include a bid for those of you that haven't already replaced your panels. We agreed to do this, and just by way of example, the cost is somewhere in the neighborhood of $2,500 to replace the entire panel. So I think we're definitely going to do that, and I hope everyone else does as well that has not had an upgrade. Ours is the same as it was when it was originally constructed. Mike?
Mr. Chairman, just to make sure I understand, Horizon Electric conducted the survey and inspection and came out with reports on each unit saying this is what unit X needs, this is what unit Y needs, and provided specifications. We, at least as I understand it, we never formally sent that out.
That's right.
Because we interrupted it by saying, wait, this may be a better solution to have these arc detectors in the panel.
Right.
Are the specifications going to be revised and circulated to each owner and saying, I mean, it sounds to me like this arc detector in the panel is the better solution and should be specified as the right way to go.
I think that's the suggestion that of what we should do, and that's if I didn't make that clear, was my intention to do that.
So we're waiting on this resolution to send those notices out to owners to saying, here's the results of the inspection of your unit. Here are the steps you need to take, and we're giving you freedom and flexibility to do it on your own, failing which the association will undertake that work. And I just wanted to make sure everybody understood that, we had the survey done, the reports were prepared, we intervened and said, wait, there may be a better solution, but the to be issued report provides this updated information and this updated specification that everybody should implement. Because I don't know about you all, we're anxious to get this done and just waiting on the report.
It will, if it hasn't been revised before, it will before it goes out. Yes. The answer to your question is yes.
Mr. President, can you just help? Most of us have really no idea, and most of the island were very surprised that you come in and you see a 50-year-old building and you see two of them gone because of fire. Does the fire marshal, was there some kind of definitive explanation as to how this started or why it was? And is there any way you can put that up on the website so we can know what we shouldn't do? I mean, whatever the issue was, no one knows how this, most of the people, except for perhaps a few on the board, have no idea how or why this thing started or what was the reason. And at least if the fire marshal has some definitive assessment or evaluation, cannot not be shared with us.
I don't think there was a definitive conclusion. I think everyone, the fire department, the insurance adjusters, the the inspectors from the insurance company that specialize in determining cause and source of fires concluded that it was from the outdoor outlet on the deck at 1410. Exactly what the malfunction in the outlet was, no one knows, and it is impossible to know. But the reason that we commissioned the inspection on all of the outdoor outlets was because we were aware that that was likely the source of the fire, and the reason that we did this electrical inspection and will be sending out these communications is to do everything we can to avoid this happening again.
Thank you.
Let me add some color to the conversation. The electrical contractor, James from Horizon Electric, did a visual observation of each unit's exterior plugs as well as the panels. He also took photographs. So included in this report, at a minimum, are a dozen, 18, 20, or 30 photographs of the existing components. You do not have to be a licensed electrical contractor to understand there are deficiencies based on just the photographs. A lot of scary pictures in these reports. So I advise everyone to read them through, study the pictures, and proceed accordingly. Now, you don't have to use Horizon Electric. You can use any contractor of your choice. We will supply you a list of materials that have been, predetermined by the board. I would recommend, James is great to work with. He's done a few units already. He's very reasonably cost as far as price. I highly recommend, bringing him in to take a consult from Horizon Electric. Once these reports are delivered, the board did decide within 10 days, unit owners have to respond, and then within 60 days have scheduled something with an electrical contractor. James is only one person. We've got 33 units, so as long as you're heading forward in that direction and we have communication, you're pushing forward to proceed, we'll support, your time frame if it's toward the end of the summer.
Matt, I do recall there was a cost associated with you putting the information out to all of the unit owners. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, so my scope of work covers common elements. These are not common elements. These are there's private ownership from each one of the unit owners, both the exterior outlets and the panels. So I agreed with the board to put these reports together. Each report is approximately 30 to 35 pages of collated data specific to each unit that will have to be, through Joshua's suggestion, mailed through snail mail. Are you still of that opinion? I should mail them out, each individual home, as well as email delivered to 33 unique addresses. It's hours and hours of work to collate all this stuff. So
no, I don't disagree. I just wanted to raise that out there because this information to get in front of people is important.
Mm-hmm. Matt, after they have it done, do we re-inspect to make sure it was done?
Well, if Horizon does the work, we'll trust his opinion. I mean, that's logical and makes sense.
And the panels that you say are some of the horror shows, are we going to make sure they get done, or is that up to the owner that we're going to allow it to go?
I don't know, what are we doing?
That's for Josh to answer, not me.
Well, so your question is, should we go back in and, yeah, so for an owner who has said, I got the work done, are we gonna verify that in some way? Well, if you have a paid in, well, so you have a relationship with Verizon, first of all, so that would be easy, just asking if you did it. If they use someone else, then ask for some paid invoice, and if you find it credible, that's fine. If not, then have someone go in and take a look.
And what do we do with the panels that have been deemed by the electrician to be needing repair? And we gotta make sure the owner does it, correct?
Yeah.
So do we have to go back and make sure, even when you get something from them, did you have it done? You have to give us the paperwork?
Yeah, so if an owner doesn't respond, the letter that I helped to write says, if you don't respond, the association is gonna come do the work, and then there'll be an assessment against your unit for the cost.
Do all the owners know that? Did we send that?
Well, I don't think that's been sent yet because of it.
Okay,
The
because of the other additional stuff.
But it's clearly laid out in plain English on page 1 of the cover letter.
Okay, so we are gonna send that out with all that information.
That's part of the 38-page report, including some of the minutes that we discussed and,
Okay.
you know, and
So that the owners will understand everything that they have to do and what has been done and where we're going.
I feel like it's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
I feel like it's deserving of reading it front to back.
Okay.
And if there's any questions, feel free to reach out to me and I'll be glad to answer.
Okay, I just wanna make sure the owners know.
Tell us what you're doing. 60 days complete the work, retain your proof in case we need it. And if you don't, we'll do the work. And
But have we designated which panels out of which units must be replaced or should be replaced?
So that is the individual, that's what will be collated into the packet. So yes.
So does that become an individual option or is that the board option that they have to? Do we make a decision?
The electrician is suggesting to replace, so they would have to replace some, the electrician says the panel's in good shape.
Okay, but if they are suggesting it needs to be replaced, they must replace it.
That's the, what do you call
I
it?
think that's what I think that's the resolution that we did last time.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody understands so that we don't have.
It's, I think, a wording. I thought the document that was put together is great. The outside outlets certainly needed to be replaced on certain units, but it was a suggestion on the electrical panel. I don't think there was a determined you must replace this panel. I think it was a suggestion. Am I right with that, Matt?
In most cases, yeah, I'm in line with that. Yeah. Again, it's an electrical contractor who's making a recommendation. Licensed contractor saying we suggest
Right.
versus you're required.
But the problem is just asking this question, if they don't replace the panel and there's a fire which causes another building to be destroyed, what happened? Whose fault is that? Is that a board fault or is that the owner's fault?
You know, we're not talking about fault in the 1409 and 10 scenario. I mean, the association is responsible for the replacement of common elements. So, you know, we're not really pointing at fault in that scenario.
When I say fault, what I'm talking about is if it happens because that owner did not proceed and have the panel changed, even when the electrician suggested it and it caused a fire, where are we with that?
I would imagine it would pass some more liability to the unit owner and away from the board since they were notified.
Okay.
Yeah, but the board has to.
I'd suggest you're getting a little lost in the details.
Yeah.
The letter.
Life is detailed.
I know. The letter says, electrician recommends this work. There's a proposal with a dollar amount and line items, do this work. That's
Okay.
what the association.
I would never
Yes.
accept it personally, but. I
Well,
understand.
so an owner who rejects what has been recommended,
Right.
the board would have the option and probably should follow up and say, okay, well, if you're not doing what this electrician recommended, show us what alternative you have and the reasons for it. If you find it credible, fine.
Okay. But I don't think we want to go through fire.
Yeah, I imagine not.
I don't want to.
Yeah, but I wouldn't focus on the word suggested. Either repairs have been proposed in what you send to the owner or not. And what's been proposed is what you're requiring, unless the owner comes back to you with some other expert advice that differs, and then you evaluate what they brought to you.
I agree with that.
And-
Mike Kelly.
I was gonna just say, just so you know too, if you do the arc fault in the panel, it doesn't preclude the fact that you don't have to watch for your ground fault systems outside as well. You do. Because if you have a failure at the panel, that means you've got a bad GFI somewhere outside. So you need to pay attention to that. Don't keep flicking the switch on.
Right.
It's time. Okay, just throwing it out for general knowledge. That's all.
Mike Kelly.
Mr. President, I think I'm concurring with the language going around, but maybe we talk around things a little bit. I want there to be real clarity for the owners about what their individual obligations are with respect to receiving these reports. I would hope that you get a report, and that report from Horizon, whom we hired, says,
Right.
My recommendation is that Unit X needs to do A, B, C, D, and E. It is your responsibility. You may do it with your own electrical subcontractor, or you can use Horizon. But in either event, you will be obligated to certify back to the association that you have done items A, B, C, D, and E. End of story. And this business about, well, what the contractor or consultant suggested versus recommended, I think that's some really funky territory to be in. So I just want there to be clarity so that everybody knows what they must do to get this done and how they resolve it. Because I don't think any of us want this lingering for another 6 months or year to get done. I
agree with that.
Out. Let's get these things done. Let's have clarity on what's to be done. And if you get it done in the court, if you elect a contractor and they certify that they've done what this recommendation says, you're good. I'm just concerned about sort of getting into back and forth over this issue, because I know it's important to everybody. I think clarity is all that people are seeking. So if we can do that, I think we will have done all of ourselves a big favor.
I agree. I believe that the draft communication that we have prepared to send out provides, as you suggest, Mike, that the work needs to be done. I'm not sure, because it's been a minute since I've looked at it, if it opens up the door to someone saying, I have another electrician that says I don't need to do this. I think we need to, I agree with Mike that we need to cut it off, that we have a recommendation from an electrician. This needs to be done. If you don't use this electrician, use your own electrician, and leave it at that. Am I missing something?
John, I've got I hope you don't mind. Do you mind me kind of referencing your report? I've got it pulled up.
I don't mind.
The report says, replace outlet, install weatherproofed outlet, replace front porch outlet, first floor outlet, and at the bottom, so it goes through the individual exterior outlets, and then at the bottom, it gives you a cost for the outlets. Your particular cost was $1,125, and that's for light switches and outlets, which is sort of one half of the report. And then below that, it says the electrical panel is 46 years old because there's a stamp on each one. I suggest replacing the panel. The estimated cost, $2,600 and $2,650. So it's really two sections. You've got your outlets and receptacles at the top, the status of your panel at the bottom, and two separate charges, suggested repairs. So if someone's, it's all there. I mean, if somebody objects, I don't know what you do. It's 46 years old. I think most of the panels.
I think we send this out. state that the expectation is that owners will follow all the recommendations in the report. And if someone comes up that has a disagreement with the requirement of doing this, we'll take it up when it happens.
I'm happy to store that in writing for future reference if there's an event.
Yep, Don.
Don?
Yes.
I think
yes,
James had indicated that he was hoping if he was going to do the panels, it would be during the summer time frame and do as many as he could all at the same time. But that was a month ago when I spoke with him.
I think that's because, Dave, he's a teacher, right? That's when he's out of work.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So James,
He's
just
out of work.
to frame the scenario, James is he's been an established licensed electrical contractor in the local area, and he has volunteered his time to the local high school's technical program to help shepherd youth into a technical career. He's a very established, reputable electrician.
Negative that he was working. I was just
let me frame it. He's a very established electrician.
He's not a school teacher that does electrical on the side.
Do you have a picture of him? You can send me a whole thing, a bio, please. I like Dave.
Okay. All right, guys. Don's next. Don's next. He has his hand up.
Yes. So can the board, in particular, Alan, give us some guidance on this? Because I know you've done a lot of work in this and you've done it specifically for your unit. But over the years, we have had 5. Now think about that. 5 air conditioning compressors fried by lightning. So my question is there another product we can ask the electrician to install to do something so that we don't ever have an electrical storm? Tell us about that and how that works, and what have you done on your own unit? And is that something we can ask the electrician for additional fee to make sure? Because I mean, five compressors is just over the top. Once or twice a year, I get a word that the compressor's been fried by lightning.
Right. Let me start off by saying this. When the report is delivered, the instructions to each unit owner is to call an electrician. We recommend James with Horizon Electric. Once you make that call and you schedule, the sky's the limit. You know, you can take away, the electrical components in your unit are yours. And so, it's for you to determine between you and James's private business.
But Alan has a lot of information that has prevented that because he doesn't. Tell us about that.
Don, what I did was I put 2 surge protectors on my 2 air conditioning units. I also put a coastal pack inside my train units. Since I've done all that, I've had no problems whatsoever. The coastal kit is extremely important here along the ocean. They don't mention it when you buy these units, but if you inquire and you start doing some research, you find out that some of these companies know that these units fail near the ocean. So they offer a pack that they basically pack up and surround so no air and moisture can get into the electronics section of the air conditioning condenser outside. So that helped not deteriorate, which has been working great for me. And then I put surge protectors on in case there's a lightning strike, because I'm getting surges all the time, just like you are, Don. We all are. And that keeps it from blowing up the condensers. I've had no problems since I've done that.
And do you do this for the HVAC guy, or do you do it for the electrician?
I did the HVAC guys because they know what they're doing. So that's why I did. The packs you have to get from your HVAC guy. It'll cost you X number of dollars. Could be as much as $1,000 to put the pack in. I don't know. But it's well worth it. And then the surge protectors on your outside unit, definitely a go in my opinion.
Thank you.
Okay. Corey.
I was just going to mention, Don, we just had the surge protectors put on. They're like $600 per unit. Florida Power is giving us not unregulated, but unreliable, what they call dirty power. So it's not just lightning. They can just give you a surge within their system. So again, it was really worthwhile. We haven't had any problems either. But my question was that we're talking about this, but nobody's received the electrical reports. If we can get the reports, we can start acting.
That's what we're talking about, trying to get out today, Corey, as soon as we can.
Okay.
Anything else on electrical? Let's move to the the balcony inspections that are, and I don't, Matt, are you going to take that, or is Al or someone else?
I don't know, Dan, you want to walk us through balcony inspections? Yes.
So yeah, we gave a proposal to do balcony inspections, just to assess the condition. We've had some issues here or there.
Based on our surge.
Yeah, and then based on the surge report, we did get into one recently at 1408. We did take up the deck boards. The system overall was generally in fair condition. We did find a couple of issues where these balconies have a covering of deck boards over the top of them. Those are attached with sleepers, basically with adhesive, but the deck boards are attached down to these sleepers. And what I found was some of the screws attached to the deck boards went through the sleepers and into the waterproofing system, so creating holes. So we sealed those up. We had a few issues around the perimeters with stucco that we had addressed at 1408 as well. But the systems, from what I can see, they're older.
They're very old.
And they're going to be coming due sooner or later. So again, CSI gave a proposal to do an assessment on them so we can really kind of get a feel for the overall condition of all the balconies. So that's kind of where we're at with that, John.
And we have to do it, everybody, under Sears. We have to inspect them. And if anything needs repair, we have to do them. I just found out about a product that I didn't even know existed. There's a product out now that when you do decking, it's either made with engineered product or aluminum, and it's a water system. So the decking is interlocked. And when you put it down, instead of having the bladder system underneath, which a lot of our decks have, this system is its own system. So it interlocks, and then the water goes down the channels and then out wherever you have the gutter system or the system where it drains. I find we should inquire more about this for the future. It could be our answer on our decks. That way you don't even have any water coming through. For instance, you take some of the decks that are on the villas, the water goes through some of those decks down to the ground below. So this would stop that also. You don't need an under system at all. You just have one system. You just have the interlocking pieces on your deck. That's all it is. Now they're made out of aluminum and some other product, and I have to do more research, but it's something that's fairly new, and it's very interesting because it can help us out a lot. And these decks would last a lot longer, and there'd be less problem with 1408, for instance, which has leaking because of the water getting underneath the deck. The wood is soaking wet. The water's getting inside the deck. It's going down on the side, and if there's any way that it can intrude inside the building, it does immediately. And that's our problem. Like 1408 has problems underneath the deck where the water's going in. These are problematic. We've got a couple of units like mine, which the decking is on top of the kitchen. So if it leaks, it goes into the kitchen. And that becomes problematic for a lot of us. And we've had leaks because of it. So this would solve a lot of things. It would also possibly make things a lot nicer at Windsong, which would give you added deck underneath that has no water coming through. So you could sit under there in the rain and enjoy your time looking at the ocean or whatever. So these are some things we should look into. I'm just throwing it out there for future boards. Think about it.
To add some color, when we do these balcony inspections, what we're doing is a visual observation. We're looking for general conditions, not limited just to the waterproofing, but also the topping of the deck, the handrail system, the integration into the flashing and the building waterproofing systems. So it's much more than just limited to the we talked about so far, which is basically waterproofing.
Right.
So it's pretty in-depth report. It'll inventory basically we'll have a matrix, it'll inventory everything and allow us to capital plan for probably 2027. So this is an effort to get ahead of it, to provide information so we can start thinking about that next step.
So what happens, Dan, when we go to inspect the decks, like in the mid-rise, which are concrete decks, and some people put tile down? Do we have to rip the tile up?
In that case, I mean, in order to see the waterproofing, you'd have to do some destructive testing. I don't know what the balance is that are covered in tile. I would say if it's a small amount, maybe we can get our sampling through the other ones. If it's a large amount, we may need to take up a couple of tiles to see what the waterproof.
Okay, so those of you who have tiles on your deck with concrete underneath, I'm just letting you know that that may be a possibility.
Not to give anyone concern.
Yeah, so I think our, not to cut off any discussion if anyone has any other comments, but I think our action item is to approve the proposal dated April 13th, 2026 from CSI to do the balcony evaluation. The cost is $6,500. Is there a motion to approve the balcony inspection?
I move to approve the balcony inspection for CSI.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any further discussion? Mike?
Mr. Chairman, I generally in favor of moving forward the balcony inspection. I may have mentioned earlier that my only observation about the CSI proposal is that, number one, there was absolutely no timeline as to when this would get underway and completed. And then secondly, my concern is the level of uncertainty that flows potentially, just like with the electrical inspection. There's been an inspection of the balconies, and here's our report. Okay, what has to happen? Are there mandated steps? Are there? So I'm just concerned that we get a report, and then each owner, do I have clarification about what I must do, what I can do, what I should do? And I know that's beyond perhaps the scope of the report, but if CSI can come back and say, Unit 1403 needs to do the following with respect to its balcony, that would be the kind of clarity that I think we all could use and correct the problems. And so that's my main observation. I did also want to make sure that I heard Dan correctly, that this is not just a floor ceiling, but the railings will be reviewed, and all of this in accordance with the Sears report, so that when all is said and done, everybody can have confidence that their balcony situation is copacetic. I did want to also come in to what Alan said earlier. We very much want to get some sort of resolution of our underdecking, because right now our patio on the ground floor is virtually useless because rain comes through. And so we've reached out to Alan, I think the same system that you mentioned, that we'd like to get deployed and installed under the balcony to protect the patio below, which makes this balcony inspection, all the more timely and sensitive.
Right.
So,
like there are two systems. One is the system you saw, which is under deck, which collects the water as it through the decking, and then it takes it out. This one I'm talking about, the newer one, is the actual decking itself on top. Is your water system as well. It has drainage channels in it that takes the water out. So underneath, there's no water coming through, and you can remove all that underneath stuff if you even wanted to, because nothing's going to come through. So it's a separate system. There's two systems. One goes underneath the deck as a collection system for water, so it won't come all the way through. The other one is it's the deck itself is its water system. I can send you. I'll send you the information.
I just want the balcony inspection to proceed with all due haste and get done, so that we can then begin to address situations, Alan, like you suggest, which is
so Mike, in looking at the proposal, I do see that CSI proposes to prepare a written report summarizing the conditions and deficiencies prioritize recommendations for maintenance and repair. Recommendations based on the observed conditions. So hopefully that report will accomplish what we need for it to accomplish.
And does that report have a timeline for delivery?
I
didn't
don't
see.
know that I see. I don't know that I see that. We can ask Dan and Matt.
So the first step would be when the board would, want to schedule that. Do you want to wait till the fall? Do you want to do it during the summer? When David and I did the electrical inspection, the outlet inspection, there's near or close to like, I think David, wasn't the number 100, and there's a lot of balconies. So this
there was, yes, a lot of balconies.
A lot of balconies. At least I don't want to say it was well into the 100. So what is the preference of the board as far as scheduling? We have to get into every single unit. What would be the preference?
Well, the SEER study says we have to have it done by what date? What was it in there? I forget.
I don't know. I think it was due 2027. So
is it due 2027?
I don't want to say. That's what I remember.
Well, it's probably better to wait till after the summer. Definitely. I think we should probably do it at the end of this year. Then we'll have free reign of the campus and he can do whatever he wants.
Okay. So we'll schedule it after Labor Day.
That's what I would do.
Perfect. So we'll aim to schedule the inspection after Labor Day. The report would be near or close to Christmas, New Year's, and then decisions by the first of the year as far as capital planning discussions going forward and response.
So I just have a quick point here. I just hope that in giving the directive to CSI, the only thing that really is critical is that the balcony railing has a strength test, because we did have someone fall off a balcony in past years and we had a serious contingent liability. And when the board went and at the HOA secured all the bolts, those bolts rust. So the thing is, the objective thing, can a grown man or a child push the balcony so the railing comes down? So that's the critical thing from a fiduciary obligation, to make sure that once that is found out, that the board addresses it and get that required fix, and not allow the homeowner to make a decision. But that's an extremely serious issue for the HOA to get it resolved and get the bolts fixed so the railing doesn't fall.
Okay, good.
Thanks, Don. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'm not happy with the timeline that, let's pick this up in the fall, meaning the summer goes by and we can't conclude improvements that I think are important to consider. So is it possible that we could order an inspection independently to move things along, or what do we? It just, I mean, this is
Mike. If you're going to do work to your deck, you're going to have to submit the plans for the deck, which means CSI is going to have to review them anyway. At that point, depending on what you're doing, we could have that as the review and the inspection, so that you can move forward. Okay, but you're going to have to submit the plans and everything you want to do, and then CSI will check it out. If we approve everything, then your deck is done and you can do whatever you want to it. But as what we're doing everything this summer, between the reconstruction of 9 and 10 and the roofs, it's too much to have Dan go around to all the decks. It's too interfering. So if you want yours done, we can do it that way.
Is that coming out?
All right. We have a motion, a second. I'm going to call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The last item on the agenda today is a critical one. It is, most of you, if you don't know, Kim Mills and Mike are selling their unit, and Kim stepped down from the board. Jim Parks has graciously agreed to fulfill Kim's term, and I would entertain a motion from a board member to to select Jim Parks to fill the unexpired term of Kim Mills.
I propose a motion for Jim.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. I'll do my best.
Good luck, Jim.
I'll need it.
So thanks, everyone. Is there any other new business that
John,
needs to be discussed at this?
John, I'd just like to throw out a few things to the owners since we've got quite a few here, which is nice. I just want people to know some upcoming costs that are going to be incurred at Windsong as the years go by and future boards are going to have to deal with. Not me, but you guys will have to deal with it. You're looking at carports to do the carports currently, and with a little bit of inflation already set into it, so it's kind of a locked price almost. We do it the next couple of years, $150,000
For roofs.
the carports. To do paving, I mean, I had Matt go out and get a price. We're around $110,000 to do the paving of the parking lot and the road. Railings, when we get done, we were talking about replacing them 5 years ago. At then it was over $100,000. Those are going to have to be replaced on the mid-rise and some other places. So that may be a cost you'll have to consider. Painting is coming up in around 2031, and that's going to be at least $300,000. Those are the key ones I see coming up. I just want you all to know that there are additional costs coming down the pipe. The roof is the biggest one. We get that out of the way. We reduce our cost on a monthly basis. So it should work out to help us save for some of these projects.
So Alan, that's really great insight. I hope you put just, you can have all the caveat language that says this is just rough estimate and nothing is certain, but that'd be great on the website. So people have a working knowledge of the financial obligation that's coming. And I mean, you're talking about 20 to 30 or $40,000 a unit. And it's important that we all have a heads up of what that's about. That's very good information.
Absolutely. I agree with it.
So currently up on the website is a copy of our reserve study as well as our Sears reserve analysis. So some of that financial information is found on the website.
Any other new business?
Yeah.
John, just so you know, before we hang up, would you call us when you get off to this? You, me, and Josh have to do something.
Yes. However, I need to do that, or why don't one of you just call me on my cell?
Okay.
John, did you want to talk at all about elite amenities?
Oh, thank you, David. I managed to not get that on the agenda, and we need to do that. I'm sorry, everyone.
Can't prove it today. It's not on the agenda. Well,
I know.
In the contract wasn't attached to the agenda.
The contract was attached, but it's not on the agenda. So under new business, I think it's. Oh, I mean, it's.
If the contract was attached, it can be under other new business, don't you think?
So you provided a copy of the contract to the
Yes, sir.
What is it?
Yes.
What is that contract?
Contract to consider a monitor at the pool, part-time, less than 5,000.
Yeah.
Small.
It's not a lot.
$4,700. And the idea is to have someone set up to monitor conduct and appropriate access to the pools. I believe that there was a suggestion from Mike that we yes,
it was from Mike to adjust the timeline, which I agree with. Yeah, I agree with.
To adjust the time from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And change it to 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. It is not an incredibly material amount, but we're hopeful that by having someone that they're in an official capacity that we can tamp down some of the unruly behavior that people have noted, particularly during the holiday weekends and the time surrounding the holiday weekends. I'm sorry, I almost overlooked that. And unless there's more discussion about that topic, I would entertain a motion to approve the contract.
Can you tell us if the monitor records deviant behavior, what's next? What do they do?
They shoot them.
Call security.
So 20 minutes later, security comes, and then what happens next?
Well, the idea is that by having an arguably neutral observer, an enforcement person, there's a lot less of the he said, she said with security. And if it's necessary for security to remove someone or, God forbid, charge someone, then that happens. But part of the idea is that the very presence of a security person that appears there in an official capacity will tend to tamp down the bad behavior. And I agree with that.
Dude, I 100% correct, John. And then also to further your point, when security does arrive, it's typical that security will write a report, an incident report. Those incident reports include the names of the parties involved, and they're also held at the security office. If there's one incident that turns into two or it has to escalate, then we would have written documentation with AIPC security to fall back on if there has to be some sort of next step, whatever the board deems as an appropriate next step with the unit owner or their guests. So we'll have documentation of that at our fingertips.
What do you think, for everybody's questioning here, there needs to be a kind of a list of things. I don't want to call it necessarily rules, but things that we expect the security person to do, whomever that is. To Mike's point, certainly hope it's not an 18-year-old that's new inside of a suit. But it's simple stuff like gates closed, music playing at the pool, things like that that would be infringement of our rules that we have at Windsong. And I'd like to make sure that the security person at least is very much aware of those and is trained, I guess, in that aspect.
So let me comment to that, David. Great point. First, just a little course correcting for the board and every unit owner who's listening. We are not hiring security. Security is an interesting word that comes with an inherent, I guess, implied sense of safety, and that comes up quite often in community association management. So instead, this is a monitor. Seems simple enough to everyone, but in the legal eyes, there's a major difference between using the term security and monitoring. So let's all try to use monitoring going forward in our written communications. As far as the scope of work, we can provide their scope of work. They will put it together. If a couple want to get together and write that out in detail, they're hired to do the scope we provide. So.
But have you defined this person as sort of a teenager with a cell phone or an unemployed housewife, or how are you defining who's going to do this?
It's a third-party vendor who supplies these professionals.
Like lifeguards.
So it's a third party that is an agency that supplies these employees.
Mr. Chairman, despite its imperfections, and we all know this is an experiment, I would move approval of the Elite Services contract as presented, knowing that we'll learn from it, but at least there'll be some modicum of a presence in these very, very critical peak times of someone at least observing what's going on and making reports, and if necessary, calling in security. So that's my motion.
Mike, I think that's exactly the idea.
I second.
Is there a second?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 And please feel welcome to send some feedback to me. I will, again, like Mike said, this is an experiment, so there might be some course correction with the staff, or so just feel free to send any feedback to me, and we'll act accordingly on it.
Very good.
I have a question, if I may.
Sure.
Are other condominium associations on the island currently using a monitor like this at the present time?
Yeah, there's a few that are currently hiring part-time staff throughout the heavy summer months.
You'll be the first in the plantation.
Other uses would be parking or patrolling and pool, and so yeah, it's not uncommon.
All right. And I have one other suggestion in connection with this. A number of pools, whether they are monitored or not, have a sign-in sheet where people are supposed to identify themselves when they first appear by signing in a sheet and indicating the unit number, whether they're an owner or a guest. There could be a little place to check on. I just find when I walk by, and maybe it's because I'm not a resident there, I don't know everybody in Windsong, but I think it would be helpful if we knew who was actually out by the pool, whether it's being monitored actively or not.
So the motion that we just passed would be to hire someone to potentially help that and help course correct some of those folks that are not supposed to be there.
Yeah, but I think the sign-in sheet is a great idea.
Not a bad
I know the enforceability of that when the monitoring person is not there is a question, but I think it's certainly something that's worth looking into further, because that might be of some help, and we can certainly do that when the monitor is in place, and look into how we might be able to do that otherwise. I think it's a great idea.
When I was on the board of Windsong many years ago, one issue we had was that people from the general area, I'll say, learned that they could just come into Windsong and use the pool whenever they wanted to. They were not an owner, they were not a guest, they were not a renter. And I don't know if that's going on now, but I suspect none of us really know if it's going on there or not. I think a sign-in sheet would be a deterrent to that, and would also help identify who is there if there is a problem.
I think that's a good idea.
It's a good idea too.
Great idea.
Thanks.
Nat and I found that some of the locals were having their swimming lessons in our pool, and neither the people who were the students or the people who were the teachers had anything to do with Windsong, and they parked in our parking lot.
On how to break into a pool.
Maybe we look into facial recognition.
But Don can take care of that.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Absent any other new business, we'll stand adjourned.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Thank you.